Tony Dungy appears to be on his way out, getting kicked to the curb by Sunday Night Football. Let me read a couple of excerpts here. Tony Dungy likely out as regular on NBC's Football Night in America. Dungy, who won a Super Bowl as a player with the Steelers and another's head coach, the Colts, has been on NBC's show for 17 seasons. Holy cow. NBC show is led by host Maria Taylor, and her analysts and insiders include Devin McCourty, Jason Garrett, Chris Sims, Dungy, Rodney Harrison, Mike Florio, Chris Collinsworth's son, Matthew Berry, and occasionally Steve Kornacki. For all of these networks, it may be easier to shed them than to add. This offseason's roster of available big names to sign may not be as ripe as some years. But you got Pittsburgh Steelers coach Mike Tomlin, top personality on the board, but may be reluctant to enter TV. He's close with Fox's Jay Glazer, and with Jimmy Johnson's retirement a year ago, Fox still has an opening for a Super Bowl winning coach on its audio desk. Tomlin is also high on NBC's list. What do we make here of Tony Dungy being kicked to the curb? I think it can be tied directly. The final straw was the Bill Belichick fiasco disaster when he would not talk about his Hall of Fame vote and Rodney Harrison put a clown suit on him. That was probably the final straw for Tony Dungy.
Yeah, I think it mattered. I don't know if that was the final thing. I mean, these things are probably decided long before they are rumored or announced. Jason, I just wonder, though. He had a good run, a man filled with a lot of integrity, a respected figure. But do you think that he just simply was not pro-black or woke enough in today's media space?
That certainly would have helped him at NBC if he would toe the company line and be BLM. Yes. And look, obviously, I've said it many, many times, I have a lot of respect for Tony. I wish he had gone harder, though. If you're going, I wish he would have called out the Rooney Rule, had called out a lot of the black idolatry. I wish he had gone harder. Mostly he was quiet on that stuff. He wouldn't say what they wanted him to say, but he also wouldn't say, in my view, what really needed to be said coming from someone whose brand is as biblical and as Christ-centered as Tony Dungy. And then I have to respect Tony Dungy. But the way he handled the Belichick thing was just bad TV.
Well, if he would have done all of that you would have asked for, he may have not made it to 2021. Okay, we all have bills to pay. And, Tony has never struck me as like a Charles Barkley type. I mean, he's just the opposite. And I don't want to say he's milquetoast because that comes off as a pejorative. But I remember him as a coach. He was very understated, never gave bulletin board material. He never gave you that soundbite that you'd be like, wow, this is like Herman Edwards, right? He never did that. So maybe he was just staying on brand and being honest to himself. And I respect that. I don't want a phony out there. But I do think a couple things. Number one, all of these networks like football teams and any other organization in sports, they have to go through a youth movement. They always want to upgrade if they think they can. And again, there's a certain brand or racial idolatry that you talk about that if you push it, I think it's been shown, it can aid your job employment status.
Peyton, help me out here. Did anyone, Andrew Marchand wrote a piece about how Al Michaels, Joe Buck, Mike Tomlin.
That's the piece you're reading from.
Oh,
that one that
Mike Tomlin, Troy Aikman, Kirk Herbstreit, Ian Eagle, Greg Olsen, J.J. Watt. Like, there's an amazing amount of free agency in television this offseason. And Tomlin's the big get out there, in my opinion, above all these names. And if I were NBC, I would suspect Mike Tomlin may go along, be a hell of a replacement for Tony Dungy, and he would probably go along with the black idolatry stuff. He'd probably be a bit more on brand.
Maybe a bit more. He's never struck me as a guy that's tried to leverage that, though. And the other thing is, Jason, I like Tomlin. He has given us some bulletin board, soundbite, viral moments. Okay, he's pretty good on stage there, right? But the issue is, especially since he's 1 year removed from being in that league, how willing is he to be critical? I mean, a lot of these guys have friends, even if they're rivals, you get to know a guy. These guys are very, very apprehensive about saying the most basic, fundamental things if it's any type of critique. And I've seen that. Give me the guy that has enough guts to say, you know what? If we're not friends anymore, we're not friends. I give Charles Barkley a lot of credit. I know he valued his friendship with Michael Jordan. But when Michael Jordan did not do a great job as an owner, I think in Charlotte or the GM, guess what? I don't think they've talked in years. And I think Barkley says, hey, I used to be his best friend. Well, that's part of the price you pay for being on that pulpit.
What Tomlin has said or indicated, it seems, is that he's not returning to coaching. Okay. That seems to be the prevailing sentiment. He's not going to return to coaching. But the other thing that could hamper Tomlin, you got to remember, he's left Pittsburgh after 19 seasons without a farewell press conference. He hasn't seemed to want to deal with all the rumors about his personal life that people are saying led to his departure from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so when you have something going on in your personal life, you're less likely to take any shots. If you take any shots, then people start digging into your personal life. Don't get distracted by this thing I'm about to throw in. I'm about to throw a big distraction into this. Mm-hmm. Don't get distracted by it. Just pretend like I didn't say it. But for those of you looking forward to the show we'll do on Harmony, it's kind of like Erica Kirk. The reason why she's not taking any shots at Candace Owens is because she doesn't want anybody looking into her backstory. And we got a little peek into her backstory yesterday, and we'll discuss it on the Harmony channel later today. And it doesn't look real pretty. Anyway, don't be distracted by that, Steve. Tomlin just doesn't want people sniffing around his backstory, and that may make him muted on TV.
And then that make him ineffective. That'd make him ineffective. And we've talked about this before. I remember when TNT, years ago, they hired Joe Montana and Lawrence Taylor. Two of the greatest ever. I mean, really. And you know what? They were terrible at television. And I read something where Joe Montana said the problem was with my personality, it was hard for me to criticize anybody. I just couldn't do it. So you have to realize when you get these roles, and fighters have told me this, that all of a sudden went from the ring to behind the mic. They didn't realize how tough that job was, because when they have to critique somebody that they either sparred with, they came up with, they used to be friends in the amateurs, and they get the blowback. And unless you have the absolute iron will or that tough shell, I think it's a very difficult ask for some of these guys.
The other thing is, like, they are aware, like, hey, man, this guy that's not performing well, he's also fighting for a big paycheck that could change his life, change his family member's life, and is it really worth me saying this when I might be damaging this guy's ability to earn? And they just internalize all that. The thing you got to get over is, like, hey, man, that film doesn't lie. And the organization is going to make decisions based off that film, not what you say or expose about this person, because it's all exposed on film. And so people need to quit taking their criticism so seriously. If all it took was criticism to cost someone their job, Stephen A. Smith would have been out of a job a long time ago. ESPN has a whole different metric that they judge people by. Coaches, organizations have a whole different metric that they judge people by. People should be a bit more willing to understand and to be critical because it just doesn't have the impact. Now, it may impact social media and someone's feelings, but their pocketbook, it doesn't impact that.